How positive is love in Kirby? While the world of Kirby is often brimming with love and friendship, either through giving or receiving help, or a source of power, there's a deeper, darker side to love that's slowly explored through its characters, whose experiences reveal the complex and sometimes negative emotions that love can evoke. But how do these emotions shape their thoughts and actions? Well, sit back, relax, and let's start with a character who's all too familiar with the pain of love and loss. Taranza and Sectonia's relationship seems simple at first, but it's one that shows how love can make it difficult to move forward by clinging to the past. Taranza is Queen Sectonia's servant in the land of Floralia. He's willing to do whatever he can to please her, even going as far as kidnapping King Dedede, who he mistakes for the hero of Dreamland. It's not until Queen Sectonia punishes Taranza for his mistake that he understands how cruel of a ruler she truly is, and helps King Dedede and Kirby end her reign once and for all. But there's a deeper truth to these two that shows how dangerous it can be to cling to the past too much. Let's start with the pause text from Sectonia's DX form in Dedede Tour. Sectonia wasn't always a queen obsessed with power and beauty, but actually used to be close friends with Taranza. The Taranza Flash description in Kirby Clash Deluxe even implies that Taranza wanted to be more than friends with Sectonia, but never found the chance to admit these feelings to her. And at some point, Taranza gifted Sectonia a mirror, not knowing that this was actually a special artifact called the Dimensional Mirror. Due to looking at her reflection too much, the mirror slowly corrupted Sectonia into a tyrannical monarch who desired to control all of Floralia and Popstar. It makes sense if these unrequited feelings are part of why Taranza is loyal to Queen Sectonia, because he didn't want to believe that the old friend he loved so dearly was completely gone. Maybe even thinking that staying by her side could somehow make her come to her senses, or change back into who she used to be. And this has been implied by Taranza's multiple desperate attempts to revive Sectonia after her defeat, like in the True Arena. Throughout the battle, you're told several times that Taranza's voice can't reach Sectonia, due to transforming herself into a lifeless, vanity-fueled husk of her former self. And as the text says, the only solution for her at this point is to give Sectonia her eternal rest. And in Star Allies, Taranza's reason for seeking the Jamba Heart of the Jambastian religion is the hope that he can somehow revive Sectonia, but instead he ends up fending for himself against a being possibly more dangerous than the soul of Sectonia. And while both stories aren't exactly canon, what is real in both scenarios is Taranza's love for Sectonia. He wants to bring her back to her former self and make things right, especially when her fate was unfortunate and unfair. But that love is what's making him obsess about the past, something that backfired on him in 2 instances. And while it does make sense to assume that Taranza feels disappointed or upset about failing to bring Sectonia back to who she was, you don't really see him give these types of reactions anywhere in the games. One area where we do get a glimpse of this, and how desperately Taranza clings to the past, is in the Kirby light novel Great Labyrinth Rescue. The light novels are their own canon, so I won't dwell on this part too much, but I think it does a good job of showing just how much the loss of Sectonia weighs on Taranza's mind. The story is that Magolor asks Kirby, Meta Knight, King Dedede, and Waddle-Dee to help him find his missing friend, that friend being Taranza, which leads the group into a labyrinth inside of the mirror world. When they do find Taranza, something is wrong right off the bat. It turns out Taranza is seeing an illusion through the dimensional mirror, an illusion of spending time with Sectonia before she changed for the worse. Under the illusion, Taranza thinks the group is threatening Sectonia and attacks them, giving Magolor a chance to steal the mirror. I should mention, in case you probably don't know, but in the light novels, Magolor hasn't reformed, at least not yet I'm assuming. He's still a villain in this continuity, or at least an antagonist. Shown when Magolor uses the mirror's power to become stronger, which undoes Taranza's illusion. Eventually the group wins, with Taranza safe and sound, but Magolor escapes to who knows where. Everyone then leaves for the labyrinth's exit, except for Taranza. He keeps looking back at the mirror, tempted by the opportunity to be with his Sectonia again. Even if it wasn't real, the experience felt real enough to him, and he was happy just to be with her again. But Meta Knight tells Taranza that giving in will only hurt him in the end, so Taranza follows the group, still feeling hesitation. That's when he hears a voice, Sectonia's voice, saying farewell and thank you to him, though Taranza is the only one who's able to hear her. Honestly, all of this makes me hope that someday Taranza gets his own epilogue like with Magolor. There's so much impactful story to his and Sectonia's relationship that's hidden away in outside sources. An epilogue of his own would be a great way of tying it all together. Taranza's actions in Triple Deluxe, Star Allies, and Great Labyrinth Rescue all show how his love for Sectonia makes him desire for the past, no matter how many times it may backfire on him. And that's why it's important to remember that even if those we care about are gone, even if we can't go back to the past, it's important to carry our memories of them and move forward, to live our lives for them, as best as we can. But while Taranza and Sectonia are more centered on the bond between friends, what about the bond between family? On the surface, Susie and Haltmann's connection seems simple, but underneath is a story of obsession and neglect. Susie works as Haltmann's secretary, but they're actually daughter and father. Their relationship is, or in his case, was that of familial love, but an accident damaged their daughter-father bond. In the past, Haltmann was testing the capabilities of Stardream, a powerful machine capable of manipulating time and space. But one day, when Haltmann was testing Stardream's space-time transport program, Susie, at a young age, was caught up in the test by accident and ended up lost in another dimension. But it didn't seem that way to Haltmann. To Haltmann, it seemed more like she was gone for good. Haltmann became so obsessed with bringing Susie back, he was driven to use an incomplete Stardream to revive her. But little by little, the repeated use of Stardream would end up erasing his memories of Susie. To make matters worse, Susie would eventually find her way back to her father, all grown up and aiming to become hired by her father's company. But when they reunited, Haltmann couldn't remember Susie but still felt a sense of familiarity from her presence and hired her based on this feeling. Honestly, it's pretty tragic. Haltmann's love for his daughter made him obsessed with bringing her back at all costs, but that cost ended up being Haltmann's love for his daughter. And Susie's actions show that she must have felt devastated and offended by this. After Kirby defeats Haltmann in the Access arc, Haltmann tries to fully take control of Stardream until Susie snatches the control helmet away from him, with a plan to betray her father by selling Stardream's data to a startup company. Little did she know that, by interrupting the control mid-process, Stardream was able to absorb Haltmann's soul, become sentient, and set out to destroy Popstar and any other planet it can find. Afterwards, Susie tells you she just wanted to teach her father a lesson for forgetting about her, and what else would drive you to betrayal than finding out the person who you've always cared so much about, and who's always cared about you just acted like they never even knew who you were to begin with, especially after being separated from them for who knows how long. Susie did what she did because, even though Haltmann didn't intend to forget about her, Susie's love for her father was affected in a negative way. Even if we don't know how, she did still find a way to get back to him, and her reward was being forgotten by him. Payback was all she was trying to do. It's not as if she doesn't care about her father completely, and she asked herself, was that too much to ask, after she wakes up. And there's even the Japanese version of her conversation where she not only wanted to get payback, but wanted to make Haltmann remember her. Hurting her father to the extent that it reached at this point wasn't her intention. But even so, Haltmann's obsession, Susie's answer to being forgotten, both are driven by the familial bond they once had, but their actions show that acting on love without a second thought can lead to reckless actions, the kinds that can either hurt you or the person you're doing those actions for. Haltmann being desperate to revive Susie is understandable, but at the same time, if he had never used Stardream to try and accomplish this, if he never lost his memories of Susie, things probably would have turned out differently for them. It's obvious, but still important to remember that the choices we make can and will sometimes affect others, not just ourselves. Susie and Haltmann's actions stem from a detachment to loyalty, Susie's being intentional and President Haltmann's being unintentional. But what about when a commitment to loyalty is taken too far? The three Mage sisters, Franziska, Clamberge, and Zan, have an unyielding loyalty to Hyness, their master, and that's because of their pasts. All three girls suffered through their own disasters. Franziska nearly froze to death, Clamberge was almost burned alive, and Zan nearly sacrificed her life to a lightning strike. Hyness found and saved the three by granting them powers responding to their events, taking the three under his wing and training them, hence the sisters' gratitude and loyalty to Hyness. Obviously, the sisters share a strong love for their master, but during the events of Starlight, it does more harm than good to them. Hyness used to belong to a clan that was banished long ago, but he was still a kind person at the time. At some point after taking in the sisters and caring for them, according to developer commentary, Hyness forsake his own heart, making him give in to the darkness and submit to mental insanity. Since then, he's committed to awakening Void Termina for vengeance on his banishers and on the world, but he does so while disregarding the thoughts and feelings of his allies in the process. After defeating Zan at the Divine Terminus, Hyness' response to her call for help is knocking her away without a second thought. After you defeat his first phase, he drains their life force during the battle, just to recover his own for phase 2. He uses the sisters as literal weapons and projectiles during said phase, and after the battle, and even goes as far as to use the sisters and himself to revive Void Termina. The sisters are grateful to Hyness for saving their lives, but their love for their master makes it easy for Hyness to take advantage of them while he succumbed to his insanity. and afterwards, their loyalty nearly changes them for the worse as well. After the defeat of Void Termina, Hyness gets sent into another dimension, where he's fully corrupted by darkness, losing even more of his sanity. Once he's defeated, the Mage sisters appear after following Hyness into another dimension, but now just like Hyness, they've also been hit by corruption, and tell themselves that they're going to repay their debt to him, implying that they'll pick up where Hyness left off in reviving Void Termina. Once the sisters are defeated again, all that's left is to leave them where they are. This is where the sisters' loyalty led them. All three of them together with Hyness again, just like they wanted, Blake succumbing to their corruption alongside him. Love can stem from gratitude and loyalty, but committing so much to it you disregard your own well-being doesn't always grant the results you expect. That goes for who you are on the outside and on the inside. But despite the negatives that can come from love, it's far from black and white. Sure, at its worst, love can lead to clinging to the past, obsession, and some may even use it to take advantage of you. But at its best, love can motivate us past our self-doubts. It can remind us that we're not alone in our struggles. It's a chance for us to connect with people we haven't even met yet. Love is important even with its flaws, because there's always a limit to what we can do by ourselves. Case in point, the other ending of Heroes in Another Dimension. If it wasn't for Kirby's kindness and desire to help others, Franziska, Flamberge, Zan, and Hyness would be left to suffer in another dimension for who knows how long. They wouldn't have gotten a second chance at life. The important thing to remember is that sometimes, even the kindness of someone you don't know all too well can be enough to change your life for the better, or at least inspire you to do so. As long as, instead of ignoring the negative emotions love can bring, you acknowledge them and balance love with mindfulness, and that emotion that some may call a weakness can also be our greatest strength. But let me know in the comments what you think of Taranza, Susie, the three Mage sisters, and the characters related to them. If you like video essays and discussions on Kirby and Nintendo games in general, and would like to see more, please do leave a like to help spread the video out, and subscribe to know when more will come next. Thank you for watching all the way up to here, and I hope I'll see you again next time. Take care, everyone.